Good morning and welcome everyone. Today we will talk about how we can move an existing MongoDB based application to Azure Cosmos DB. And the technology we are using is ASP.NET Core Web API, which is now pointing to a MongoDB hosted within a Ubuntu server, and then we will move the same code without changing anything but the connection string to Azure Cosmos DB. Let's see step by step. The source code is available in the GitHub link below. You can always go ahead and download the source code if you want to play with that. So let's start with our conventional MongoDB setup, how we can do that. So if you go to the Azure, and then if you start creating Azure virtual machine, what you can do, we can just go ahead and say Mongo, and then you can see that MongoDB 3.4 on Ubuntu, that marketplace image is available. And if you select that, what it will do, it will go ahead and create a Ubuntu virtual machine where MongoDB will be pre-installed and configured, which takes some time. So what I have done, I've already created that Ubuntu virtual machine with MongoDB using the same image. And then what I can do, I can connect to using the SSH. So the SSH information is given here. And then I say that Ubuntu bash. I go into Ubuntu bash and then I say exit. And I say exit. And then I try connecting to this machine, and then I say setup. Okay, I right now inside this Ubuntu machine. If I type Mongo, then the MongoDB interactive window has come up. So inside this MongoDB interactive thing, I can say show DBS. This will show me all the databases I have created and I can work with. And especially I've been working with HRDB. So what I can do, I can say use HRDB. Just in case if you don't have the MongoDB database created, you can pretty much type use new DB and it will go ahead and create a new database. Now if you say show DBS, this will have the new DB as well. Now let me just go into this use HRDB, and then I'll see what all collection I have. So I'll say show collections. You have two collections. Now the second one is what I've been working with. So what I can do, I can say db.employees.find, and then it will show me the record which is already there inside this collection in form of JSON format, which is typical MongoDB. However, we are not going to discuss anything about specific to MongoDB, but what we have done, we have created a simple text file which I have also added in the GitHub, where it shows you how you can create an admin user, basically, to your MongoDB database. And then the reference is taken from this tutorial website. It's a nice website for you to help you start on MongoDB basic commands. You can go and check out things over there, and a couple of the things which I have shown you here quickly, how you can create a database, create a collection, create a show collection, etc. So all you can find over here in this URL. So we'll not go much deeper into it. What additionally I have done is that I went into the networking section and opened up the port I need to connect to MongoDB. So this is port 27071. So what I have done is that I have added this port into this MongoDB and then MongoDB VM, and then so that I'll be able to use this port to connect to the MongoDB. That's the MongoDB setup. Now what I also have done is that I have created a code which basically is our ASP.NET Core web API code with controller and then couple of repository thing and then context. So we'll start with the POCO class. So I've defined the structure of my data, how it look like. What I have done, I have used a dependency called MongoDB driver. So if you go into dependencies and then say manage NuGet packages, and if I just go and select the installed one, you'll be able to find that MongoDB driver, which you need to download and associate in this. So you can do it pretty much from this window. Go into browse and search MongoDB. So if you go into the browse and search MongoDB, it basically goes ahead and shows you this, and then you select and install. That's it. After I have done that, what I have done is that I have come here and added a folder called models. Inside this models folder, I have added this POCO class with the BSON reference, saying that this will be the auto-generated ID. So if you have seen in the command line, the first object ID, which is showing up some ID, is generated by MongoDB, which is considered as a primary key for me. So I have not added my own ID. So you can add your own ID, many more fields. So for the demo purpose, I have added only the full name. That will be the name of the employee. Then I'm coming to the context. So I created this employee class and I created something called HR context, which you will have not just employee, but also many other things related to HR. So something like what I have done here, I also have used something like MongoDB driver in this context. And then here, what I have initialized is the Mongo database with couple of options by the setting class. This is a custom class. So if I go into the setting class, you'll find two things: connection string and database name. From where these two are coming? These two are coming from app settings.json, like your web.config file. So I have added the connection string. One is for Mongo Ubuntu, one is for CosmosDB. So we'll come to the second later. But if you see the first one, which is having the MongoDB connection, the typical MongoDB connection string with a username and password at the server name or server IP address, and then followed by the port number I want to connect to. That is why I need to open that port to be able to connect to that specific Ubuntu VM. Now, what I also need is that couple of lines to be added in my configure services section. In the configure section, you have got connection string where I'm trying to read the Mongo connection, that is Mongo _ CosmosDB. Instead of that, I will just comment it out and then say that I want to run this Mongo Ubuntu. So that is where my active connection string is. The database name remains the same, so it doesn't really matter if I change or not. So you can also have a development section and a live section. So you can put environment variable and then check is database and then change those things as well. And also I have now, since I have both employee and the HR context created, I need an interface because I'm using here repository pattern. So I created an employee interface, which basically allows me to add, see all the employee and add a couple of employees. So I've hard-coded a couple of employee addition, but you can make it dynamic as well. So if you go into the employee implementation of the iEmployee to employee repository class, where I'm implementing the iEmployee repository, that is this one. So a little bit confusing because the file name and the class name is different, but this is actually iEmployee repository based on the class name. So the class name is employee repository, which implements the iEmployee repository, initializing the HR context, which basically is nothing but coming by initializing the settings file. So you go into this method, it basically takes the connection string from the setting and then also takes the connection database. So that's how the Mongo driver will be initialized. So using the Mongo client, I'm passing the connection string, and then using the same client object, I'm creating the database, the Mongo database. And this will be used for retrieving and then creating things or connecting to the database. Now this is how the overall model structure looks like. Now using this model, I have created a controller which basically is employees controller, and then I've initialized this iEmployee repository, added the value just like dependency injection pattern, which requires you to do this, and then I have two methods, only two methods for the demo purpose. One is get, which basically will fetch out all the employees from the employee repository. So this method is from employee repository. You can see that get all employees, and then if you go into that add new employee, what I'm doing is that, let's say I add to John, Mary, and Patrick. Right, so you can add them. So let me say that I want Gawk. Then put some so that people won't mind. Okay, so let me just save here and run this. How do I can run? I can run it from Visual Studio Express, but it doesn't have any UI, so there's no point running from here, so I would prefer to run it from the command prompt. So I'll say command, and then I say .NET run. This will give me an URL. Once it is successfully built, it will run that thing, and once it starts running, okay, you have this URL, so you copy this URL, go to the Postman, somewhere I'm using the Postman to fetch the information, so I'll say that this API and employees, this will do the get. So if I have any setup data, it will just get all of them if it is able to connect properly to the VM I'm pointing to right now at this point in time. So you should be able to see the VM is basically pointing. Now you can see it's a 200 OK, which means that it is able to connect, and then since we have only 3 records as we have seen in the SSH window, that same 3 records are showing up here. I can also call my post method, which will add 3 more additional records. So it doesn't require me to pass any values, so it's fine. So I'll just say done, and it also showed 200 OK, and I can just switch it to the get and then see if I have few more additional records. So I have 3 previously, and then I have say Gog, Bose, and then Newton, 3 more additional records. To check whether this has actually inserted in my this database or not, so I run this find method. So it should be some other collection, so let me just check the db employee dot find it is not this collection, so it should be, is it admin? Use. Okay, show dbs, let me run that, and use employee, that's a database, show collections db.employee dot find. This also has the similar thing. Use admin show collections. It does not. Use local show collections. Use HRDB show collections. DB dot. So it should be one of them. So, but I'm just trying to find which one it is. Employee dot find. Just wanted to make sure that if we are pointing to the CosmosDB, so still we are pointing to the CosmosDB or not. So let me go back to this, and I just wanted to make sure that we are saving. So it is kind of Mongo Ubuntu, and then startup. We have not yet saved it, so it went to the CosmosDB. So let's rerun this process. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to end this and rerun this. And once I rerun this, it will give me the same URI by and then you can see the same thing, which is good. And then if I just do a get, I should be able to see only 3. If I'm seeing 6, and I'm pointing to probably wrong. Yeah, so you can see just 3 because right now my MongoDB on Ubuntu virtual machine has got 3 records. So I go ahead and run the post, which will add 3 more records. Just where we have done that, and then run the get one again, which will now have 6 records. Now if I go back to this thing, and then I just run this first one, that is E capital and then S. No. Show TBS. Use employee. DB dot. Collections. db.employee dot show find. Yeah, now you can see, so you're basically using the employee database, so you can see 6 records right now which I have added. Now we can just do a little fun, post it again, which will add similar 6 records, and then we can just run this and it should now have 9 records, and so on and so forth. We can keep adding them, and then it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's what the quick implementation of ASP.NET over traditional MongoDB on a server, right? That's nothing fancy about it. ASP.NET Core is an awesome technology which can help you achieve that very easily. However, now we want to reuse this code, and as you know that in Azure we have a CosmosDB which supports Mongo. So let's suppose if you go into this and then this resource group and then try to create CosmosDB. Let's see. Azure CosmosDB. And then I create it. When I say create, what it basically does, it allows me to select what kind of API I want to use. So one of them is MongoDB. So what I have done, I have created a CosmosDB for this demo. So I will show you that CosmosDB, and this is the CosmosDB. So it has a globe icon with a circle around it, and then you have this CosmosDB, which is a Mongo based thing, and you can see a couple of information. So I have got 2 collections here, right? And if you go to the Data Explorer, which is right now available in the Data Explorer, you can pretty much explore what data you have over there. So if you go into the Mongo and see the documents, and then search, I have got 6 records, and you can just load the record in the side window. It will show you all the values. So it should actually have 6 values. What I can do over here, I can just clear them up. So I can clean this. So delete this, delete this, delete this. If you see this employee also, so let's see what is there. We don't have any record as such. So we'll use capital E employee, and then we will try to insert record into that. So these are the free 3 default data I have added into my application. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go back to my application. I want to just stop this execution, Control C, and then go back to my Visual Studio and change the CosmosDB connection string. This time I will remember to save this thing. Save it, and then I will run the build. I will run .NET run. This will rebuild the solution and now start pointing to the CosmosDB instead of the MongoDB on Ubuntu, which is IaaS, Infrastructure as a Service. And right now this CosmosDB is fully managed. So this is giving me the same port number. So I can go to my Postman and I simply say get. So it should show me only 3 records, not 12, not 15, not 6, only 2 records if it is rightly pointing to CosmosDB. Now you have noticed that I haven't changed any code, I haven't changed any dependencies, I have only changed the connection string. That's it. Everything what I have written against the MongoDB, traditional MongoDB, works exactly as is in CosmosDB. Now it is fetching the record. Now if I go here and say post, it will basically be adding 3 records as I was doing in the traditional MongoDB. And then if I come back once it is successful and I say get, it will have 6 more records. Now if I now take you back to the Azure portal and show you this, what I can do, I can just refresh it and then say documents, employees, documents, load more. I've got 6 records, which will include Newton, Gog, and Bose. 3 great men. So that's how simple it is to move your traditional MongoDB based application into CosmosDB just by changing this connection string. Hope you have enjoyed, and for your benefit, I want to put this slide back where you have the URL to point to where the full source code is available. If I take you back to this URL, you'll be able to see in my browser that folder. I'll quickly walk you through the folder structure, which is already open here, and then you can see that MongoDB Web API, and this has got models where all the code is mainly written, and then you have got the controller and 2 things like startup and app settings. So you can see that this is a freshly committed code I just now have updated. so that you can download and play with this code. So thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day.